Hi! Welcome to this episode of Paranormal Captivity. Today I'm going to tell you about my parents' friends who moved into a house that had some dark energy. So basically what happened was they hit some hardship, had to move, went looking around. They looked at a town just a little further east of where we live and found a house for like in the $30,000 to $40,000 range that had like 4 or 5 bedrooms. It was massive, it was beautiful, it was on the main road, so they went ahead and bought it. When they moved in, they saw a Bible in the downstairs on the kitchen inset shelving. So they already were like, that's a little weird. They didn't remember seeing that at their walkthrough. Now what they did notice at their walkthrough was how weird the house was painted. They didn't go into any details with the realtor or anybody about why it was painted the way it was, but the downstairs looked normal enough. It was like a large living room, like a kitchen that kind of turned to the other side, and there was the back door, and then you went upstairs and there was all the bedrooms kind of wagon wheeled, I guess, around the landing, and a bathroom up there too. Now when you got upstairs, when they first moved in, the top of the landing and everything in it was painted black. And when I say everything, I mean everything. Banisters, windows, locks, doors, everything. Everything in that wagon wheel shape was painted black. Most of the bedrooms were pretty normal painted. The bathroom was normally painted. And then there was one bedroom off the side that was also black painted, but it had been splatter painted white all over it. And this is like including the ceilings, the floors, all of it was hardwood throughout. And inside the closet, all of the sides of the closet, I believe the window in that room too was also painted that way. So it was already a little bit creepy. They didn't understand why it was painted that way, but they were like, you know, it's a cheap house, let's just go for it. So they went in and they just started renovating right away. Now the mom started to not feel quite right as she had moved in. Things just didn't feel right to her, and one night she woke up seeing a man standing naked in the bathroom facing away from her. And she knew for sure it wasn't her husband. We live in the Midwest, so he's a fuller-figured gentleman, and this guy was a very thin man with totally different color hair, just staring into the mirror. So she woke up really freaked out, and like within a week of that happening, her son started to experience issues in the night. He would wake up saying that somebody was pinching him, slapping him, pulling his covers, pulling his toes, doing just creepy stuff. And the mom just thought maybe, I mean, she's open to this stuff, and so she already had seen the thing, and she was already creeped out, but she was like, maybe he's, you know, going through some stuff on top of it, so we'll just let it be. Well, one night he woke up the whole house screaming. They rushed in, and he had been on the floor, and what he told them happened was that something pulled him out of bed and started beating him. And when they helped him up and he calmed down, he lifted his shirt and he had scratches and bruises from where this thing had attacked him. They got really freaked out, but the house was so cheap and they were in a situation where they had nowhere else to go. So they were trying their hardest to make it work better. They ended up having a time where I believe it was the husband this time, went into the bathroom and was getting ready one morning. There was a window to the side of the mirror. He was getting ready in the mirror, and the window on its own shattered inward and showered him in all of the glass pieces. I believe he got some cuts from that too. So things were escalating at a little bit of a rapid rate. The mom, on top of just not feeling right, started to take on habits that she'd never had before. Now, they were doing all of their renovations in the house, but on top of that, anytime that she went to an antique store, she felt compelled to buy antique toys. And this is while they aren't doing well financially, so it was a big issue that she was wasting money on kids' toys, old kids' toys. But she got really passionately adamant, like, no, I need this toy, I need to get it, I have to have it in our house, I'm gonna turn one of the rooms into like a toy room, it's gonna just be really pretty old toys. They were all a little weirded out by this. She, you know, in their previous homes, she had kind of more like a shabby chic, rustic, warm kind of feel to her house. So, I mean, it wasn't completely out of the ordinary to have antique things, but the fact that it was all toys was really strange to them. So she started doing that, and then as the renovations were going on, like, first thing they did was they painted that upstairs landing and removed all of the paint from the windows It was, fresh and bright and white. And they'd, been working room to room throughout the house, but that was the main room that took the longest. So after they got it all painted white, except the floors, the mom got this instinct of, instead of stripping the paint and making it look new like she'd done, and renewed throughout the house, and just making it look fresh and new, she was like, no, I know that there's an old-timey way that they used to finish floors where they would paint the floor and then do stencils, and I think that'd be really beautiful in here because this is where I want to present the toys and have like our toy display. So the dad was just like, whatever, and nobody really cared. So she was painting the floors a navy blue. She just felt compelled to paint the floors navy blue after everything else was painted white in the room except the floor. She was painting the floors navy blue and was going to stencil this white wreath pattern with, I believe, a horse in the middle, pretty large, tiled across the floor. She got to the edge of the floor where the baseboard was, and she noticed that underneath the baseboard was just a little gap, and she could see underneath that the floor had been painted that exact shade of navy in the past. There was just remnant of it underneath that floorboard. So that really creeped her out. She had no idea why she would have had the feeling that she needed to do that again. So being the kind of sensitive, open-minded person she is, she started calling in people that she thought could help cleanse the house, give, intuitive and psychic readings as to what the house was, why the house was this way, and why it was, attacking her family and basically influencing her to do things that she hadn't instinctively done before. But at the same time, she felt very adamantly kind of agitated and angry when somebody would question her on these. So she did bring somebody in. They were doing a walkthrough through the house. They went through the downstairs, past the bookshelves in the kitchen, and then around to where the area where the sink was before the back door. And the lady said, there's something under the floor, and it's dark, and it's bad. And whatever's in this floor is linked to everything else in this house. So she was creeped out. She didn't understand what that meant. The lady continued to go all the way through her house. She went upstairs, and right now the landing was done. The bedrooms were all fixed up and looking nice. The only room that wasn't completely finished was the splatter painted room. Now they'd removed the paint from the window, they'd removed the paint from the ceilings or the floors, and they had everything painted white and the floors buffed back to normal natural wood. The only thing that wasn't changed was the inside of that closet. It was still black and white splatter painted. So the psychic lady came in, and she was looking in this room, and she got a lot of bad energy coming from this room, and she said, don't go in the closet. And the lady was just like, why would I not go in my closet? And she's like, there's more in that closet than what you think, and it is dark, and you do have the ability to release it if you go into that closet. So kind of cryptic stuff. Freaked her out. She thanked her. They went on their way. She told her family about what was said and a few other friends, and they decided they wanted to find out what was going on, like what was linked to this stuff. So first thing they did was they went into the basement. The basement was more like a cellar, and there was like a trap door in the floor of the kitchen. So she hadn't really even noticed because it was flush. There was no handle or anything, but they pried it open, and there was a set of wooden stairs that went down, and it was more like a dirt floor. Not really mud or anything. It might have had concrete at some point underneath it, but it was more just dirty and dark, and there was no lighting. But I'm not sure exactly who went down and discovered this, but I know more than one of them did. They went down. It was a dark, dank cellar, gross, and they saw a circular hole in the floor. They inspected the hole in the floor, and they realized it was a pit, and it continued to go down. With enough light, they were able to see that there was a ton of cat bodies left in this pit under their kitchen. They were really nauseated by the thought of this, had no idea why somebody would have a bunch of cats unless somebody was doing, possibly rituals pertaining to sacrifices, and they're upstairs, and that's why it was painted so creepy. But they didn't understand why. So they went through that, and then they went upstairs and kind of inspected that closet. While they were inspecting the closet, they realized that inside the closet was also a flush with the wall perforation for a small door. Inside that, there was something else. And when they started putting pieces together, they realized there was a gap between that wall and the hallway that would have made kind of an odd-shaped little room in between the edge of that doorway and the hallway. It was painted over, it seemed sealed shut. They were really, really, really creeped out, and there was no way they were going to go into it. So, after all of these realizations and after everything else, they decided that they needed to move. And so they figured out another place to go, ended up leaving, and the house went on the market again. After the house went on the market, I was dating someone at the time, and he was kind of interested in this stuff, but not really into it. I was super into it. I found out the house was up and that we could probably call a realtor and go in. So I was like, let's do it. Let's do this. So he was down. It was winter. We called the realtor. We went into the home. We walked in. On the inset shelves was the Bible that they had moved in and seen right there. I asked her, the mom, later on if she had left it, and she said no. So for some reason, somehow, this Bible keeps appearing before new residents appear at the home. So walked by that, checked out the kitchen. I knew something was under the floor, obviously. I saw the outline of where the door was. Obviously, I didn't go down because I didn't want to act weird or like I knew anything to this, stranger. I went around the corner upstairs, went to the landing. The landing was exactly how they told me it would be. I never went into the house while they lived there. So went up there, everything was white, floor was navy, they had the stenciling on the floor, all the other rooms had the floors refinished and cleaned up. So he started talking to the lady showing us the house, and I decided to go check out the rest of the rooms. I went into the room with the splatter painted closet. It definitely had a different energy, you could feel it. And I decided to kind of crouch down in the doorway of the closet, staring at the outline of the door to whatever was in the wall, and I just looked at it. And as I was looking, what sounded like something brushing against the wall right on the other side happened right in front of me. It was just like, and you could hear it against the paint or the wall or whatever's on the other side of the doorway. So I was like, okay, beautiful house. I think we're gonna go now. Thanks, bye. And so we left. So that is my story of the creepy house that my parents' friends inhabited and my experience with it too. This is probably my only experience with darker or negative energies. I've had some that have had like more poltergeist activity in the past, but nothing to this extent of like attacking people especially. So I was requested to do something on the topic of more dark energies. This is probably the most that I've ever experienced, so I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope it answered some of your questions. I hope that you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more Paranormal Captivity, and have an amazing day. Bye!